Stranger Things 4 is coming one day, but until then, let's content ourselves with the first 3 seasons. By now, you've probably spotted every single Easter egg and have read every theory, so today the Binger is going behind the scenes to take a look at the secrets of the real-life people behind the show. The drip. Whenever Eleven uses her powers to move things with her mind, she gets a nosebleed. It's a simple visual device, but the practical effects behind it proved challenging. You can't exactly store a bag of fake blood up a nose. After trying a few different options, the VFX settled on the simplest one. They gave Millie Bobby Brown a vial of fake blood from which she would drop a little into her nose and just wait for it to trickle down. The first blood solution they tried was apparently too viscous, like ketchup in a glass bottle, and the whole cast and crew had to wait, poised on the brink of a shot for the red liquid to ooze out of Brown's nose. Eventually, they tried a new blood recipe, but this one was way too runny and impossible to predict. On the third try, though, they nailed it. Brown said she had to get really good at leaning her head back in to keep the blood contained. As soon as she heard action, leaning forward to let it all run down. But still, there were some moments in the show where Brown wasn't able to pause and take a nose swig of her blood, and in those more intense, fast-paced moments, the drip was CGI. They also resorted to virtual blood when the on-set schedule was tight and they couldn't wait for the drip. The bathroom hasn't been christened. In a new house or apartment, it's a coveted privilege to be the first one to use the bathroom. According to Millie Bobby Brown, this well-worn tradition was not observed in Eleven and Hopper's cabin. In a tour of the Season 3 set, Brown guides us through the cabin, and while walking by the bathroom, she says, "I haven't actually used the bathroom. I don't feel like Eleven's ever actually peed." Although some might see this as a blatant disregard for a sacred tradition and even a bad omen, it's probably a good thing. Seeing as it is just a set, it's unlikely the toilet's connected to any real plumbing. The props are actually old. The nostalgic 80s look and feel of Stranger Things is a large part of the show's appeal. The cars, the wood paneling, and the music are all faithfully reproduced to match the vibe of the era to a T. But the props department takes it to the next level. Instead of reproducing 80s junk food items, they actually get the real thing, apparently off eBay. So if you've seen a bag of potato chips or a can of Coca-Cola in the show, chances are it's older than you. Gaten Matarazzo described how incredulous about the authenticity of the props, he decided to test the gum he carries in his utility belt in the show. "I tried to chew a piece of that gum," he said. It was from 1985. When asked how he knew, he said it tasted like it was from the 80s. Yum. The walkie-talkies still work. On the subject of old stuff, the walkie-talkies that the kids use in Stranger Things, although made decades ago, still work. Sometimes. To shoot the walkie-talkie scenes, one person will go on camera with the device and the person they're talking to will stand off camera and respond into their own walkie-talkie unmiked to get the timing right. Usually the most sound they get out of them is a little feedback or white noise, but sometimes they mysteriously turn on, which can mess up the whole shot. The reason for this, of all things, is child labor laws. Gaten Matarazzo described how because of restrictions on how much kids can work and laws stating that they have to be in school, when they weren't needed in front of the camera, the young actors would go and study. This meant that someone else would read their lines into the walkie-talkie off camera. When the old school devices turned on, once in a blue moon and the wrong voice came through, the shot would have to be scrapped. Joe Keery isn't welcome at the kids' table. In an interview with Access, Joe Keery was asked about whether or not there's a Stranger Things cast group chat. He confirms its existence, but says that after Season 2, he was kicked out. He says that Noah Schnapp, Will Byers, is by far the most active, and that upon realizing his and Maya Hawke's ages, they were kicked out. "We were too old for that. We got booted." Swimming for nothing. Unfortunately, Joe Keery's misfortunes on the set of the hit show extended far beyond the ageist discrimination of his younger co-stars. Apparently, before Season 1, the Duffer brothers described his role to him as a jock who was on the swim team. Keery took this detail to heart and got in the pool. He trained for the 6 weeks leading up to shooting by working out constantly and swimming not only to get in the mindset of a guy on the high school swim team, but also to make sure he had a bangin' bod. He assumed that he'd have to appear on screen wearing a Speedo, and he wanted to be known for the rest of his life as Hunky Steve, so he got into great shape. But when they showed up on the first day, the Duffers casually informed him that, "Oh yeah, we cut that part." All the training did end up helping him in the end. The unintended consequences of his svelte physique was that he could squeeze into those famous Steve jeans. which he described as like wearing a baseball glove.
Like a glove.
Apparently, Stranger Things is to jeans as Jane Austen is to corsets. That hair. Joe Keery's hair, on the other hand, is immune to misunderstanding. This is because in his contract, it's stipulated that Keery can't mess with his due. It seems strict, but at the same time, it also makes sense. As one of the main characters, Steve is very important to the show, and as one of his defining features, his hair is very important to his character. For some actors, this would be an unwelcome imposition. Not so for Joe Keery, who says he's had those same luscious locks for years. In an interview with Seth Meyers, he described how it's in his blood, saying that his parents have kinda crazy hair. Although his dad tried to get him to tame his mane in the past, his casting in Stranger Things, due to the due in part, has silenced that debate. The cast helps choose the music. One of the things that helps situate Stranger Things in its era most is the music. Although the credit for curating the soundtrack usually goes to Matt and Ross Duffer, the show's cast is full of musicians, and they usually have a say in what songs make it in. Dacre Montgomery, who plays Billy Hargrove, said that the brothers asked him what song he would like to play when Billy is first introduced in Season 2. As he gets out of his car, and the camera pans up from his boots to his jeans to his head to that outrageous head of hair. They open up this forum of, what do you think? Here's what we're thinking. Montgomery's choice of song was In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida by Iron Butterfly, which, although it wasn't the final choice, perfectly captures Billy's vibe. In the end, they settled on the 80s classic Rock You Like a Hurricane by Scorpion. The famous van flip. If you can do it for real, that's the way you do it, says Matt Duffer, one half of the brother pair that write and direct most of Stranger Things. He's talking about the famous scene in Season 1, where the Hawkins Power and Light vans are in hot pursuit of Mike, Eleven, Lucas, and Dustin. Just when you think it's too late, as one of the vans comes at them from the front, Eleven's brow furrows, and out of nowhere, the van's bumper crumples, and it flips up and flies through the air. This results in one of the coolest shots in television, with the kids pedaling on their banana seat and BMX bikes while a van flips in slow-mo right over top of them. It's like the opposite of Kobe Bryant jumping over a moving car. Ross Duffer says that the fun thing about that one is that it's not really visual effects. The van actually flipped. Caleb McLaughlin, otherwise known as Lucas, was originally under the impression that because the flip wasn't CGI, that him and his co-stars would actually have to bike under the flying van. This obviously turned out to be false. The first time they tried to flip it, the van was pushed forward along the ground, right into the place where the kids would have been. Sadie the Skater. When you think of Max or Sadie Sink, you probably think of her skating around in her green old schools. It turns out that before filming Stranger Things, she had never even stepped on a skateboard, and she was really scared. To get her in ship skating shape, the production assigned her 2 skateboarding teachers. One for when she was on set in Atlanta, and another for when she was at home. At first, she was freaked out. She said it's a really weird feeling. You feel like you have absolutely no control and you don't know what's going on. So just at that moment, I was like, oh geez, this isn't looking good for me. This is going to be a rough process. It was also a little awkward for her to be the only one at the skate park with safety gear. The production mandated that she wear full padding and a helmet, likely for insurance reasons, except for on-screen. I always felt stupid at the skate park, she said. Everyone else is just wiping out and getting hurt, but they didn't even have helmets and knee pads, and I'm over here looking like some kind of marshmallow. I felt so ridiculous. In the end, though, it might have been a blessing in disguise. One of her skateboarding teachers broke his arm during the training. Sink's training went beyond the confines of the skate park. Her teachers apparently gave her skate videos to take home, including America's 2010 classic Stay Gold. No waste on set. The stars of Stranger Things are mostly kids, so the fact that they get some life advice from their adult co-stars should come as no surprise. However, some of the tricks they learn are a little unorthodox. Dustin's mom in the show, played by Catherine Curtin of Orange is the New Black fame, passed down one such trick. Finn Wolfhard recounted a story of Curtin demonstrating a genius life hack for anyone working on a movie set. Wolfhard and his mom were chilling on set, shooting the breeze when they saw Curtin making her way towards the craft services table with a handful of plastic bags. She scoured the table, picked out the best snacks, and stuffed them in her bags to take home. Why buy your own food for home when the show set provides so much for free? Although working actors, especially those who get as much work as Curtin, are certainly not short for cash, taking a doggy bag does save you a trip to the grocery store. After seeing her trick, Wolfhard and Ben Matarazzo were smitten and described her as very cool. We hope we gave you some good insight into what brings the cast of the show together and gives it such life on screen. Did we miss anything? Please let us know in the comments below. And as always, subscribe to The Binger for everything Stranger Things.